I'm that girl who is very excited after a big week of many sessions. We're hearing so much stuff that needs to be unfolding for humanity to have certain experiences to learn from, hopefully overcome from, or just experience. Sometimes after an experience, it may take us some time to actually figure out the lessons for why we went through that. What was that all about? So it seems like humanity is often given amazing experiences and opportunities to sort of mature and grow from, feel into their intuition, and to sort of, expand upon their consciousnesses and, their intuition and empathy. So lots of fun times, right? And if we just remembered back what we were sort of supposed to be doing with each other is loving each other, supporting each other, not judging each other, and empowering ourselves through our own personal densities, lack of limitations and perspectives, and to be able to be at peace with everything that needs to happen, especially us volunteers, right? Because we don't actually have that much baggage from this earth experience to sort of overcome, apart from the experiences we've had this lifetime to figure out how to empower ourselves, how to really rely on ourselves, how to love ourselves, and to be able to recognize where other people are at, to be able to give them the best support. We know if someone's a little bit in victim mode and they're not really wanting to empower themselves and they're just trying to get everyone to do things around them for them, we sort of know we could do that. Definitely, that's a choice, but it's not helping them in the long run, is it? We can't do their math homework for them. They must be able to practice themselves to be able to actually pass those tests. We don't want them to cheat, and really their soul doesn't want them to cheat either. So there's that. So fascinating session once again last night. And it just clarified a lot of things for me, which I'd sort of explored a little bit in other sessions. So, I love just being able to see bigger perspectives of all these pieces of the puzzles all coming together in a more sort of cohesive understanding for myself, for me to get a grasp on what is all going on and why. And so it was really interesting. One of the things that kind of popped out after the session, which was part of the client's questions, they had a bird that was on their doorstep that had died. And it was, it's very tragic. There was nothing hadn't been mauled or anything like that, and it was a sadness to that. And as we learned in this session, that was a great experience for that household to have a conversation about death and to come together in this little small tragedy in their home, to appreciate the dead body and to share some feelings with each other. And it reminded me of one of my sessions that I had around 2019, at the end of 2019. I had already done the QHHT course, and I had already done the BQH course, but a friend of mine, we'd done the BQH course, the session together, and she sort of said she didn't really, I guess she's had so many QHHT sessions to have a BQH session. She sort of was pondering whether the script was, good enough to her liking, kind of thing. So we ended up working together and formulating our own script, and which she deemed to be sort of safer. And I just trusted her because she'd been a channeler for so long and a whole lot of stuff, right? So we were doing those sessions together, and so I had sort of, we hadn't even named that sort of script at that point. So we didn't, so I didn't call them QHHT sessions. My first official QHHT session that I had was in early 2020. Is someone coming into the room? Hang on. Sunday morning excitements as we're getting ready for them to have their swimming lessons. So they're moving around very rapidly, trying to find all their things that they can't find. Anyway, so So yeah, my official QHHT session was in Miami in 2020, but I'd had these other sessions. So I'd had like this ascension activation session, which was with a level 3 QHHT practitioner, but she does something else. So I did that something else. And then we found other friends who actually turned out to be, you know, not surprisingly, soul family. And we explored creating a different script and a whole lot of stuff and, you know, working with that. So I was learning to get myself organized with that, to surrender in and to trust that I can't see anything in a session and just explore it that way. So it reminded me yesterday of us doing a session and trying to figure out like what was my purpose in life and what was I supposed to be doing and blah, 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 you know, all those really important things. And I remember hearing, you know, I mean, Dolores Cannon came into one of them at the time, and I just thought, oh, what, you know, like it was amazing, energy, beautiful. But what she was sort of saying about me at the time was like, oh gosh, that can't be true. Like, oh, that sounds too full on. No, that's and even though I was channeling this information and she was very certain of what she was sharing, and even the practitioner was surprised, I still had doubt for what I was saying. It's still embarrassing to say. So there's that. So, and now I can understand and see what she was talking about way back then in 2019. So anyway, as they were talking to my subconscious, the subconscious was telling me, we're telling the practitioner, we give her signs all the time. We give her so many signs that we're here, what to do, to learn, to grow, blah, 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 blah. We're constantly giving her wake up bitch messages, right? Potentially with love. My journey, sharing it with you. Anyway, so I remember them saying this very firmly, right? Oh, we give her messages all the time. And I was thinking as they were saying that, like what? Like seriously, well, it's easy for you to say that, but seriously, like what am I missing? Because I'm so aware of my whole life, I would know something if it was a message to me, right, from the universe. So they felt my doubting them and thinking, well, like what? And so they gave us a very classic example of something that has just happened that I never considered or saw as a lesson, a purpose, or, you know, any significant thing, but I held on to it as a personal tragedy in our family, right? So I'm getting to it. So what had happened earlier that week was the cat came home and had a bird, and it was alive. And I just thought, oh, Buster, you little bastard, you know. So I rushed out there, saved the bird, because, you know, I'm just such a great gift to humanity. And and I did. I mean, it was alive, you know, like I'm not going to have that on my lawn, right? Okay, so go over there and I collect the bird, I make it a little mess, and I, you know, put it in a laundry and give it some sort of time away from the kids, away from everything, just so it could kind of ground itself and then recover, because I know that that birds can go into shock. And then I checked on it in a few hours later, and it was like a little bit scary because I was like, oh God, is it dead? Is it alive? Like what's going on there? And it was quite happy. So, you know, I had this amazing moment where, you know, collected the bird, held it in my hands, you know, I saved you. You're welcome. You know, like fully, thinking quite highly of myself for my, you know, my events, probably thinking I might have like posted this tragedy on Facebook for, you know, being a hero and all this sort of stuff. You know, remember this is, you know, a few years ago. So, you know, so matured. Anyway, getting back. So, you know, I go outside, you know, I'm holding this bird and I'm like, I release you now, you know, and the bird just, you know, just floats off and just it flies away. And, you know, I'm expecting like, you can wave back to me and like blow me kisses, you know, like, because I'm kind of a hero today for you. And it just flew off, you know, and I just was feeling so proud of myself for this. And so, you know, the next day, the bird comes with a different type of bird. And I'm like, no worries, I've got this, right? I've got it. So I do the same thing, take the bird, and, you know, I'm I go in and put it into the laundry, and, you know, I'm preparing to have my other, like my next great release to the universe, you know, because I'm such a hero. Holding myself accountable today, aren't I? So anyway, and I was thinking, okay, so this is not cool that our cat's doing this. So we obviously need to get a bell on its collar or something, you know, because, you know, the thought of my animals hurting other animals really upset me. And it made me feel horrible. And, you know, I wanted to be, you know, I want my animals to be responsible as much as myself to be responsible for the way of the world. So, you know, I was sort of pondering this, but anyway, I went to go check on the bird to be able to have my big me moment where I was going to release this back to the wild, and it had died. And I was not prepared for that, because there was, you know, no blood. It was the same thing as the bird before just yesterday. And I just don't know what to do. Like, my glory moment's gone, that's for sure, isn't it? Like, because it's all about me at that point. Back in thousands of years ago, probably not even this lifetime. No, it is definitely this lifetime, and it wasn't that long ago. But this is what was a really big teachable moment for me, right? So pretty sad, pretty upset about it, and just feel really guilty, grief, sadness, responsibility, a whole range of emotions, right? And it really just made me feel really heavy. So then moving forward a few days, didn't even tell my friend about this experience because, you know, they just, yeah, anyway. Wow. So then, you know, in a session, we give her these signs all the time. We're trying to give her all these teachable moments all the time. She's not quite getting them yet. She's not understanding the lessons. She's not understanding the purposes or reasons for it. But, you know, we're never going to give up on her, and we're totally going to give her all of the signs that we possibly can for her to potentially stop, think, and, you know, have a high perspective of what's going on here and why, because there is no accidents. Everything is to give us a teachable moment. 100% it is, right? And so, while I'm deeply relaxed, and they're saying, we give you all the messages in the universe, sometimes you're just not focusing on it or aware of it or can see, you know, what we're trying to say to you. And I'm like in relaxed mode, judging, rolling my eyes, even though my eyes are closed, going, yeah, sure, like what? And then they say, the situations with the birds, we gave her a teachable moment and she still doesn't understand what she was supposed to learn from that lesson. And the lesson was, obviously, life contracts. The cat and the birds have life contracts, and it had nothing to do with me at all. And what unfolded was purposeful, and it was life contracts. And it was basically to remind myself too, it doesn't matter if I wrap that bird in cotton wool, baby bird fed it, did all of this stuff, gave it CPR, read it some books, you know, did some jazz hands for it, did some healing for it, whatever my ego was trying to trip over itself that day to do. That life contract was none of my business, and I can't do anything to stop it. Right. And so they were saying and showing me that I wasn't the one that healed that bird. I wasn't the one that even saved that bird that first time, right? That bird was going to easily, apparently, from them, you know, get away from the cat and, you know, have a teachable moment that there is predators out there, and, you know, be mindful and wary while you're living your best bird life, that cats can get you, and you know, and also to teach it that, you know, humans are actually, you know, not bad either. And, you know, that they do try to help, even though they're trying to, you know, boost your egos with trying to help you feel good, you know, Samaritan today. So yeah, so anyway, super big lessons for that first bird and that experience for everyone. And then super big lessons for that bird that did pass and exit. The cat was playing its role, right? And so they sort of said, if you took a bell on it, you know, that cat can lose that bell. because it's not part of its life service, so life contract, and it actually needs to be doing certain things. There is many birds and many animals that they're going to have exit points with, and this is big lessons, right? So stop trying to helicopter human with Mr. Mind, Mr. Stupid playing and thinking that they can control everything. Back off. Know what your responsibilities are. Know what your part in your role that you're playing in this game is about. So there's that. So yeah, it humbled me because I realized, shit, that's right. Life contracts. And this was kind of around the time when I was doing sessions where I'd be, crying to the teams, asking them to please solve world hunger, and please solve the crimes against the children with, I knew that there was something interesting that needed to be explored with our high dimensional beings about medical industries and how they were impacting children, right? Because I had very strong intuition that what the medical agenda was for our children, there was something not right there, right? So big crying, big snot bubbles, crying and pleading to the teams when I was the practitioner for my friend who was under about save the children, and the orphans and the starving and all this sort of stuff, right? And this is when they came in so fucking hard to school me and to shake me up and awake me up and say, who the fuck do you think you are? Life contracts. You cannot use your free will to stop and block and limit people wanting to have these experiences. Their experiences have been granted for them to learn and grow from. You think you're trying to save them and heal them and help them and protect them and blah, 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 but you don't understand why they need to go through these experiences. And these experiences are super important. And while you think you're doing do-gooder, wishes and intentions, because my agenda was, I honestly thought to help and to heal and protect and all this sort of stuff. And they're like, back off. That's you're literally breaching their own life contracts, and we will not condone that. We will not let that happen. And so, yeah, I've been on a roller coaster, and I've learned quite quickly these lessons. And they're so profound, and it's not like being told off by them, but kind of is being told off by them. But I learn, and I respect high dimensional beings because I'm not a complete fucktard. And I know that many people do not respect what the high dimensional beings are saying. It's a choice, but it's not personally my choice. So I really try to listen and honor and understand it from their perspective, because it really helps me understand what's happening here. And I know lots of people are like, oh God, Jo, you're just so uncompassionate. Like, you talk about death as if it's just, a non-emotional thing, and it's, normal or something. And it's like, well, you actually have to grow and mature about it. Sorry to say, but when we connect into the souls of those birds, last night's session, we connected in with the soul of the bird to see if they had a message. And it was really touched that people saw the body of the beautiful body of the bird and just had great compassion and empathy for it, and just had this beautiful moment with the family. Whereas the bird's soul was like, that old thing, got rid of that a few days ago. I'm free now. Like it was sweet. It was, like it wasn't that sort of sassy, but the bird was honored that they admired the body of it, and it was complete. It's totally fine. It's in a really happy place, and it's lived that beautiful, lived a beautiful life, and it just flew into the house and hit the house and died that way. Very instant, painless, really, and purposeful. Didn't want to be mauled by an animal or die old or something. It was a beautiful exit point for it, and it had this contract with this family to have this moment together to talk about something that is so taboo. And so if you're okay with death, you're like a monster. If you can see the bigger perspective of death, you're the devil, so it's such a hard one to talk about. And it seems like the collectives are giving us all these examples of people and beings dying for us to have these conversations of what do we think happens after death? What do we think is the purpose of these lifetimes? If, just say for shits and giggles, there was such a thing as reincarnation, what would that look like and why would that be? Big teachable conversations and moments. And when we respect all life contracts, we kind of get over ourselves quite quickly, right? With our, oh, the poor birds and all that sort of stuff, right? Like, 'cause I know that was definitely me. I realized, wow, shit, okay. Well, thank you, birds and cat, for giving me this physical experience of roller coaster emotions to see that there was nothing I could have done to save that second bird, because it was none of my real business. It was just me exploring it. But what I had to say to the client, and we both agreed, dead bodies still creep us out. Like, there was this big spider in my garden, and I guess I'm probably still afraid of spiders. I really wanted to like hold it and just kind of honor the beautiful life that spider had, even though I don't quite understand the full life cycle. I think it's just because my children had watched Charlotte's Web, and I just was like nostalgic and blah, 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 blah. But I still couldn't touch the spider. Anyway, so it's interesting. We all can be emotionally and metaphysically cool and accept death, but then it comes to that next thing of dealing with the bodies. And why is it that the bodies feel there is this scare to it? Obviously something to work for me to still work through, but there is something about it that doesn't feel right. And maybe it's because there's no energy there anymore, and it's confusing our physical bodies because we are sensing what that being is. And because there is a void now, there is no energy in it. It doesn't feel dense. There is a different thing there. So we could have to experience that to overcome it. And then we sort of had to discuss about the old earth experience and what's that going to look like. Obviously, the closer you are to these events that are happening to awaken humanity and actually motivate them enough to start caring about each other and communicating with each other and talking to each other and, conversing and supporting each other. We have to have massive things happening on this planet, apparently, before that's going to motivate people to start caring about people, right? So we've explained and explored that lots of times in sessions, which is unfortunate, right? Because we should all be able to be mature adults, loving, compassionate, kind beings to connect in with each other and just be unconditional loving beings and be in our best joy and, jazz handsing. So, that would profoundly uplift humanity. But most people don't want to trust others, don't want to be kind to each others, and judge others, and a whole lot of other stuff that's definitely quite far away from unconditional love. So interesting times. So when you get closer to these events that are occurring, there is going to be more physical destruction. And, sure, those people who exit with the laser, for example, it's going to be the perimeters of that destruction that's, people could be physically injured, which is, again, very, very challenging experiences, and potentially people would have to witness and be around, bodies that have exited. And, it feels very heavy and dense to even think about it and feel about it, because, that's so intensive. But again, they're not our second bird. We have to honor the bodies and know that the souls are no longer in the bodies, and that the bodies were just the vehicles to those souls to have those experiences. And so I guess, I don't want to say it's like picking up their laundry after they've, had a party here, or picked up their toys as they've had a party here. It's picking up their bodies. And maybe we have to do it, and maybe we don't have to do it. It's hard, right? But we know that I guess it's because we're afraid that they could turn into, I don't know, zombies, or maybe this is my inner work. What do I have to, I think my body intuitively knows that's an empty vessel, but it's foreign. And so it's just like if our bodies saw our higher dimensional selves, we would go into complete freak out mode energetically, because we know it's so different from what we're used to, right? So our bodies are still thinking that there is predators out there, because we're still basically animals, right? And so if we did see something that was big energy and very foreign looking, it would trigger our senses into high alert. Whereas with death, there is something else there. The body still is confused because it's trying to engage and register, is this a threat? Is this a threat? Plus our minds are all going into, you know, emotional trauma of this is a tragedy, this poor person, there's no more life after death, blah, 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 whatever we're processing, right? So, you know, this is why we've got to be so balanced and neutral with everything. And it feels like they're waiting for a lot of us to be prepared emotionally to be the best support people for the old earth. And remembering those old earth experiences are extremely important, extremely important. While living here is important and these lessons, blah, 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 the old earth experience is like crucial, because if it's not done properly, then we're going to have other lifetimes and other planets having disconnect and more disharmony. And this is the time, the old earth, for us to all chip in, all get together, all be one, all family, supporting each other, loving each other, even complete strangers, and really be together because you've survived something so tremendously hideous. You want to be open to support others because it's so freaking scary and challenging emotionally and potentially physically, that you want to just chip in together and build your communities and be together to strengthen yourselves, to protect yourselves for what's coming next. And that's when you start introducing yourselves and talking to each other and sharing with each other your thoughts and feelings and emotions about how hard these experiences are, because you're in this dark density and you are purging and releasing all the other traumas you've had in other lifetimes, and actually connecting with each other at a really profound, honest, emotional communication rate. And so it's like they don't want us to all just isolate and hide from each other. They actually do want us to feel and to support others, but we're still going to be afraid of each other at some regards. So they're waiting for enough people to stop being afraid of each other, to actually want to be those good Samaritans, to support people and potentially share food or water, and to sort of hug them, tell them that they're okay, tell them that they're allowed to feel their feelings, and you know, and purge that and release those emotions. It will be so undeniable what has happened that you have to talk about it, to release it, to just let those tears flow, and to bottom out your vibrations, just to purge out all that, to be that sponge, to squeeze out all that like dirtiness of all the density from all the traumas that you've ever had on this planet, all in one big, really intensive experience, and then be loved and supported, to be able to go within, connect within, feel the stillness within, feel maybe, you know, pray or do something, meditate, to be able to connect into a bigger purpose and a bigger sense of thyself. So, you know, it's super significant. So this is why they're really wanting us to you know, to think about this responsibly, know what our responsibilities are, and to work through it now, while we've got the luxury of not having to live it to you know, to master it. I know that it will take many people to actually live through this experience to understand what they need to do. But for some people, they just, you know, just the thought of it will put them into a, oh God, yeah, this is going to be full on, but very manageable. And the purpose for this is because we're on a dying planet and we have to be evacuated. It's just that simple. And, you know, we're not going to be all shifted off at one day. It's not possible for us, you know, to shift on one day. You know, there will be many versions of the sort of the shifts for depending on independent, like what countries you're in, and again, life contracts, right? So when you're listening to public sessions and you're hearing people give dates or situations or scenarios, trust it's their situation. This is why it would be really advisable of you to have your own sessions to figure out what's happening around you, to get a sense of what you need to be prepared for. I know lots of people ask in sessions, are they prepared enough for the old earth? And the subconscious says they're very well over prepared for the old earth, because they're not here for very long at all. So, there's a big difference between you being here for 6 months after the old earth or, a few hours. So I'm not trying to scare anyone, obviously, but, just because we don't want this to happen in our reality doesn't mean it's going to just be cancelled. And what I've also discovered, again, with more confirmation, is certain people who started off with certain soul essences who have had walkouts, they were getting, when they were the Arcturian or the Palladian soul essence, they were getting definite information about the new earth and what it was looking like, blah, 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 blah. Fantastic, right? So then they have a full walkout experience and a new soul essence walks in, which is all divinely orchestrated and blessed, and it's all purposeful, but that soul essence is not Palladian or Arcturian anymore. And it's a soul essence that can't vibrate high enough to get to the new earth, right? So then suddenly it feels like they've almost changed or lost their faith or something. They haven't lost their faith. They've lost their life contract to where they're going next. And so this is why they will say, oh no, the new earth is here now suddenly, or oh, it's just a higher dimension realm of already here now, or oh no, it's just another 3D planet we get to experience in the physical, blah, 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 blah. If you hear someone who's an influencer or someone talking about the new earth and you feel like they've changed their kind of perspective over it, like it's quite different now, or you feeling funny about what they're talking about, and you actually get a weird density from what they're trying to explain to you about, it would be a really obvious example of someone's soul essence that's changed. And, perfect, we respect all life contracts. But if you're trying to hear about new earth information from someone and, you're not having your own sessions, be really open-minded to what's actually going on for them. You won't see any difference if they've had a soul exit point, right? And that they've had a soul exchange, a walk-in, walk-out situation. And so, really just focus on how do you feel when you're listening to someone explaining the new earth to you? Does it make you afraid? Does the whole process scare you? Is there any inner work that you need to still work through to be able to kind of see the bigger perspective of it and learn from it sort of this way? This is why having sessions really does reassure us at a really profound level that we wouldn't be able to get if we just tried to, it's going to be okay, all is well, using our monkey minds. And this is the thing, right? Sometimes we overthink things, and it's about the mind and heart balance. And if we feel and trust with our hearts that all is well and that everything is purposeful, life contracts, we're just on this journey, we can choose with our free will how to feel, and we want to feel good, and we want to feel like there is hope, and we want to trust that all is well. I mean, that's a really great way to live life. Then if you're thinking too much, like, oh, what about the children? Oh, what about my animals? Oh, there's going to be death. Oh gosh, it sounds painful, blah, 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 blah. Then we're overthinking it. And that's when we let the Mr. Stupid come in and kind of control it. And Mr. Stupid really doesn't like the emotions, because the emotions often want to settle and calm the active mind. And so this is why it's really important to have a balance between the heart and the mind. We're not wanting to be fully stupid and just be like, okay, whatever, I don't need to do anything because, all is well. We still have to participate in these lives. We still have to love each other. We still have to, with love and with tough love, make people question some of their lazy assumptions, call out some of those people that are telling the distruth, and ask them, what collective are you from? Because this information is certainly not Turing and Palladian. You know, for example, if you want to sort of, you know, actually challenge people who are, you know, still giving disinformation or suddenly are giving disinformation. So, you know, there's so much to it. Definitely ask in sessions, but trust me, when you want to share with me who you've just discovered, learned that are limited and, you know, corrupt in some ways, those influences, you know, I love that you guys are sharing that with me, but trust, I've already heard those influencers' names, and, you know, it's purposeful for people, because, you know, every collective needs, you know, an influencer to help and support them. And if you are excited about living in another 3D planet with your physical bodies, fantastic. That is your joy. That is the person that you would love to listen to, and that gives you just comfort and peace and doesn't freak you out, right? And that's cool. But that's certainly not what a lot of people I know need to prepare themselves for. You know, we actually have to understand that there is going to be some unpleasant times that are going to look very, you know, if we did just overthink it, you know, trauma, tragedy, chaos, you know, Armageddon, or something. So this is why it's important for us to do our inner work and just to really go in, build your relationships with your teams now. And really strengthen them. Trust that they're always there. And again, someone I do know who has exited came into the session, and they were saying they did not realize how busy you all are being sort of, you know, they say we're never alone. And so, you know, here I am in this empty room talking to you guys, but there is like so many beings around here popping in to listen, to feel, to, you know, nudge me to say, oh, and now say this and blah, 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 blah. And you have this too. You have your loved ones who have crossed over, popping in, checking on you and leaving again. And you don't notice, you know, you're just sitting there having your best 3D life with a cup of tea or whatever. And, you know, potentially Nana from 5 other lifetimes ago pops in to just check on you and just give you a little love kiss and just to kind of keep you going, and, you know, bring in a few little birds in the window for you to just sort of feel like there is joy and freedom and a whole lot of stuff. And you're going to have so many of these beings coming in and not disturbing you because they're not perverts, but, you know, they're just wanting to come in and keep prompting you to keep going, chin up. It's going to get better. We promise. This is just the illusion of 3D. You know, there is much more bigger meaning and purpose for you. And it's coming. I know a lot of you are like, I'm so sick of it. I just feel like I need to do something now because I feel like I've got so much to give people, and you don't quite know what that so much to give is. And so you're just feeling frustrated, and you're not feeling like you can be of service as much as you know you can be. And what if, to explain it, you being of service is either on the new earth or the old earth? And that's what you're preparing yourself for and gearing yourself up for. And right now, when there is nothing yet to be of service for, it sort of feels like you're just waiting impatiently. And it's coming, but use this time for you. Use this time to empower yourself. Remember how amazing you are. Never forget it and never doubt it. You are going to be a lifeline for so many people. You're going to encourage and inspire so many people because you've done all of your own inner work, that nothing will break you, and you will see things from a bigger perspective, and your calmness, your stillness, and the most biggest horrible experiences ever, everyone's going to flock to you because you feel good to them, because you're in balance and neutral. You're not a headless chicken. You know, you're actually going to just have, you don't even need to like spout off like, you know, Jesus words or anything like that at all. You just will naturally attract a lot of people because you just are not freaking out. Your energy field is just loving, and you can just listen to someone bawl their eyes out in complete panic and terror and just listen to them with big heart, big compassion, big understanding, and a big knowing it's going to be okay. We're here together now. I've got you. Those things are so easy to say and feel, but that could be the world for them because they are so insecure and so afraid. And so it's just just being us compassionate, loving beings in these really topsy-turvy times can seriously support a soul that needs to trust other people, needs to be able to know it can be vulnerable and not ridiculed, and that it's going to be still loved and supported and nurtured, and all is well. Anyway, a lot to be said, and there always is so much to be said, as we need to keep being reminded that everything is purposeful. It's lessons to grow from. And while we may not be loving all the situations we're in and all the experiences we're in, it's a fantastic journey to expand upon and to be able to expand our minds, our heart sets, our connections with others. It's just fascinating, fascinating. Anyway, I love you guys so much. Remember, interns are free. And so even just asking about what is the lessons and purposes of some experiences you just dismissed as like, oh, that was just hideous shit. There can't have been anything good out of that. The chances are everything good came from that, but we just can't see it yet. So it's very purposeful. These sessions are profound. And, this is why I recommend we take them seriously and respect them and question every question you have with them. Why listen to anyone else? Listen to your subconscious. They're gagging to have massive conversations with you, and support those interns. They need your support too, because when they're starting to learn this information, they'll freak out. You've got a beautiful vantage point that you've got more balance and neutral, and you understand why these things must occur. So support them too, my friends. They are in your communities for a reason. You are to reach out to them for a purpose. And it's significant, very significant. Okay, I love you forever and ever and ever. And I know that you are appreciative of my time and my experiences and my journey. And I really appreciate and honor you all for allowing me to be able to just love the crap out of you and help expand upon some of these things we may have just missed the significance of. So anyway, my friends, relax. We've got this, and these events aren't happening tomorrow. Okay, so relax. We've got time. Enjoy.